14 months later, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. What had once been peaceful trade routes were now fortified corridors bristling with defensive installations. Mining operations had been converted to weapons production. Entire species had relocated their populations away from rim systems that would bear the brunt of the initial assault. And at the center of it all, humanity orchestrated the largest military mobilization in galactic history. Ambassador Zethkar stood on the observation deck of the UES Times, indomitable asterisk, flagship of the combined defense fleet, watching the final preparations for what humans had designated Operation Last Stand. The irony of the name wasn't lost on him while his species had contributed 400 vessels to the defense effort. The humans had deployed over 8,000 ships to this single engagement zone. Still questioning our methods, Ambassador? Admiral Chen's voice carried a hint of amusement as she joined him at the viewport. Through the transparent aluminum, Zethkar could see the organized chaos of humanity's war machine in full deployment. Supply ships moved between massive battle cruisers, transferring everything from ammunition to replacement crew members. Fighter squadrons practiced attack runs against holographic targets. Most disturbing of all, he could see the special assault vessels, ships designed for ramming attacks, their crews already knowing they wouldn't return. "Your people seem almost eager for this battle," he observed, his translated voice carrying uncertainty. Chen's expression grew serious. "Not eager, Ambassador. Determined. There's a difference. Humans don't enjoy war, but we're very good at it when survival is at stake." A chime from the bridge interrupted their conversation. "Admiral, this is Commander Rodriguez. Long-range sensors are detecting massive hyperspace distortions at the edge of the system. They're coming." Chen's transformation was immediate and total. The diplomatic facade vanished, replaced by the cold efficiency of a warrior who had been preparing for this moment her entire career. "All stations, implement Protocol 7. Fleet commanders, execute dispersal pattern. Delta, railgun stations, prepare for continuous fire." The observation deck's displays activated, showing tactical information from across the star system. Zethkar watched in fascination as the human fleet, which had appeared to be a concentrated mass of ships, suddenly scattered into dozens of smaller formations. Each group moved with purpose and coordination that spoke of endless drilling and preparation. "Why are you dispersing?" he asked. "Conventional tactics call for concentrated firepower against superior numbers." Chen's laugh was grim. "Conventional tactics assume your enemy fights like you do. Watch and learn, Ambassador. You're about to see why humans are different." The first Devourer constructs began materializing at the system's edge, their massive forms tearing reality apart as they dropped out of hyperspace. Even at extreme range, their presence was overwhelming. Each construct dwarfed the largest human battleships by orders of magnitude. Their surfaces writhed with mechanical tentacles designed to drain energy from anything they touched. "Titan Station reports lock on," came a voice from the communications array. "Firing solution confirmed. Engaging in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The railgun's firing wasn't visible to the naked eye, but the sensor displays showed the projectile's path as a line of light stretching across the system. 23 seconds later, the lead Devourer construct simply ceased to exist, vaporized by the impact of 50 tons of metal traveling at 12% of light speed. Second target locked, firing. Another line of light. Another construct destroyed, but for every Devourer that fell to the railguns, 2 more materialized from hyperspace. Within minutes, the system was swarming with hundreds of the massive constructs, their energy-draining fields beginning to disrupt the electromagnetic spectrum itself. "All stations, this is Admiral Chen. Execute Operation Swarm. Show them how humans really fight." What happened next defied every principle of space combat that Zethkar had ever learned. Instead of engaging the Devourers with their main fleets, the humans released thousands of small, fast attack craft. Each fighter carried a single nuclear warhead and enough fuel for a one-way trip. The Devourer constructs, programmed to prioritize larger threats, ignored the fighters until it was too late. Nuclear explosions began blooming across their surfaces as human pilots deliberately crashed into their targets, detonating their weapons at point-blank range. Madness, breathed Zethkar, watching young humans sacrifice themselves without hesitation. Effectiveness, Chen corrected. Each fighter pilot volunteers for this mission knowing they won't survive. But each successful attack creates breaches in the construct's energy fields, making them vulnerable to conventional weapons. The tactical display showed the results of their sacrifice. Devourer constructs that had seemed invulnerable moments before now showed damaged sections where their energy-draining capabilities had been disrupted. Human capital ships moved in for close-range engagements, their kinetic weapons and chemical explosives proving surprisingly effective against enemies designed to counter energy-based attacks. But the Devourers adapted quickly. New constructs began appearing with point defense systems, shooting down the suicide fighters before they could reach their targets. Worse, the larger constructs were beginning to drain energy directly from the system's star, growing more powerful by the minute. "Admiral," came an urgent voice from the tactical station. "The enemy is beginning stellar absorption protocols. If they continue, they'll destabilize the star within 6 hours." Chen nodded grimly. "Time for Phase 2. Signal all Allied vessels to fall back to minimum safe distance." Zethkar watched in confusion as the human fleet began withdrawing from the battle zone. "You're retreating? But the fight has barely begun." "Not retreating, Ambassador. Clearing the field." Chen's smile was predatory. "Humans don't just prepare one plan. We prepare dozens, and we always have contingencies for our contingencies." New contacts appeared on the sensors, massive objects moving at incredible speed from the outer system. As they approached, Zethkar realized they weren't ships at all. They were asteroids, each one the size of a city, and wrapped in crude rocket engines and guidance systems. "Kinetic bombardment on a stellar scale," Chen explained calmly. "We've been preparing these for 2 years, accelerating them to significant fractions of light speed using gravity slingshots around gas giants. Each one carries the kinetic energy of a stellar-class weapon." The asteroids began striking Devourer constructs with devastating effect. Unlike the precise railgun shots, these were area effect weapons, their massive impacts creating debris fields that damaged multiple targets simultaneously. But more importantly, they were completely unpowered, offering nothing for the Devourer's energy-draining systems to feed on. "Ingenious," admitted Zethkar, watching construct after construct fall to the asteroid bombardment. "But surely you can't have prepared enough of these to deal with their entire force?" Chen's expression grew even more determined. "No, we can't. Which is why Phase 3 involves everyone else." New signals appeared on the communications array, dozens of different species announcing their arrival in the system. The crystalline communes' ships materialized first. Their energy-based forms somehow hardened against the Devourer's draining fields. Behind them came the Bruthan war fleets, their massive vessels designed to ram and board enemy ships. "How?" asked Zethkar in amazement. "How did you convince them to fight, using your tactics?" "By showing them there was no choice," Chen replied. "And by proving that human methods, while brutal, actually work." The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. Crystalline commune ships used their energy manipulation to overload Devourer systems, creating feedback loops that tore the constructs apart from within. Bruthan warriors boarded damaged constructs through hull breaches, fighting hand-to-hand against mechanical defenses to plant nuclear charges at critical points. Even the normally peaceful species contributed. The Exploration Guild's ships served as mobile command centers, their advanced sensors providing targeting data for human weapons. The research collective's vessels analyzed Devourer technology in real time, identifying new weaknesses for exploitation. But it was the hive worlds that provided the most crucial support. Their collective intelligence allowed them to coordinate with human tactics perfectly. Their ships, moving in perfect synchronization with human formations to create devastating combined attacks. "This is impossible," Zethkar murmured. watching a Hive-world vessel use its coordination abilities to guide a human ramming attack into the exact center of a Devourer construct's power core. No alliance has ever achieved this level of tactical integration so quickly. That's because no species has ever faced extinction before, Chen replied. When survival is at stake, amazing things become possible. Humans learned that lesson long ago. Now, the galaxy is learning it too. The tide of battle had clearly turned. Devourer constructs that had seemed unstoppable hours before were falling in increasing numbers. Their stellar absorption was disrupted as human asteroid strikes damaged their collection arrays. Their adaptive defenses were overwhelmed by the sheer variety of attack methods being employed against them. But the most devastating blow came from an unexpected source. Admiral, called the communications officer. We're receiving a signal from Galactic Council space. It's High Counselor Vexani. The main display activated, showing the serpentine leader of the galactic government. But instead of speaking from the familiar council chamber, she appeared to be aboard a warship. Admiral Chen, this is the GCS Times Unity Asterisk, flagship of the Galactic Defense Force. We are moving to support your position with all available vessels. The Council has voted unanimously to place all galactic military forces under human command for the duration of this conflict. The implications were staggering. For the first time in 3 millennia, the Galactic Council had formally acknowledged another species' military superiority and placed themselves under foreign command. Counselor, Chen replied, her voice carefully controlled, we welcome your assistance, transmitting tactical data and coordination protocols now. As the combined galactic fleet moved into position for the final assault, Zethkar found himself reconsidering everything he thought he knew about humanity. What he had seen as primitive aggression was actually sophisticated strategic thinking. What had appeared to be reckless militarism was careful preparation for threats others refused to acknowledge. You knew, didn't you? He asked quietly. You knew we would eventually understand. Chen nodded, her attention still focused on the tactical displays. Humans have a saying, Ambassador. Speak softly and carry a big stick. We spent 50 years carrying the biggest stick imaginable, hoping we'd never have to use it. But we also knew that when we did use it, everyone would finally understand why we built it. The final phase of the battle was swift and decisive. With the entire galaxy coordinating under human tactical doctrine, the remaining Devourer constructs found themselves facing attacks from every direction simultaneously. Their adaptive capabilities, impressive though they were, couldn't keep up with the creative chaos of dozens of different species all fighting according to human strategic principles. When the last construct was destroyed by a combined ramming attack involving ships from 6 different species, the aftermath was almost anticlimactic. The system's star, damaged but stable, continued to burn. The debris field from the battle would provide raw materials for reconstruction efforts, and for the first time in galactic history, every spacefaring species had fought side by side as equals. It's over, Chen said simply, though her voice carried the exhaustion of someone who had been preparing for this moment most of her adult life. No, Zethkar corrected, looking at the tactical displays showing Devourer forces still approaching from other directions. This battle is over. But there will be others. Chen's smile was tired but genuine. Yes, there will be. But next time, we won't be fighting alone. Months later, Zethkar stood once again in the Galactic Council chamber, but everything had changed. The circular seating arrangement had been replaced with a more practical military briefing layout. Representatives wore uniforms instead of ceremonial robes. And at the center of it all, Admiral Chen, now Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces, coordinated the ongoing war effort against the Devourer fleets, still threatening the galaxy. Status report, she called out, and dozens of species responded with military precision that would have been unthinkable a year before. The crystalline communes reported successful defense of the Vega sector using human-designed energy disruptors. The Bruthan clans announced completion of 3 new fortress worlds built to human defensive specifications. The Hive worlds provided coordination support for 17 simultaneous engagements across the galactic rim. "What's our overall strategic position?" Chen asked. High Counselor Vexani, now serving as Deputy Commander for Logistics, provided the assessment. Devourer advance has been halted along a 2,000 light-year front. Their forces are now being systematically eliminated using combined arms tactics developed by Human Strategic Command. Estimated time to complete victory: 18 months. As the briefing continued, Zethkar reflected on how completely the galaxy had been transformed. Humanity's first railgun shot hadn't just destroyed a Devourer scout, it had announced the arrival of a species that would reshape galactic civilization itself. They had been wrong about humanity's intentions, but right about one thing. By the time the galaxy realized what humans were capable of, it was indeed too late. Too late for the Devourers, who had encountered their first prey species that fought back harder than they consumed. Too late for the old order of peaceful, comfortable galactic politics. And too late for any force in the universe to threaten the galaxy again, now that humanity stood as its guardians. The age of humanity hadn't just begun, it had proven that sometimes the most terrifying thing for monsters isn't meeting their match. It's meeting something worse than they are.